Hey guys, it's John, and this is going to be the addendum video for the 28 Pranks Later review. There was originally a section in here that had a rant that Snakeskin did on Rainbow Dash and why he feels that she's an underutilized character, as in she's not well written most of the time. Um, so just forewarning you, the rant is harsh, but I feel it does bring up some valid points. So if you don't want to hear anything bad about Rainbow Dash, click away from this video. You don't have to watch it. But if you guys do want to see what he had to say, then stay tuned, and here we go.
And and I don't want to be one of those people where it's like, she I don't feel I don't want to be one of those people that's like the things that she thinks are just common sense. But but in some ways, like Twilight, she was an obsessive nerd about daring don't, but she knew well enough to, not barge into AK Yearling's house, even though doing so let them meet her, and then, Rainbow Dash helped save the day and blah blah blah. But in testing 1, 2, 3, Twilight is giving Rainbow Dash legitimate study advice, but the show goes out of its way to make it look like Rainbow Dash is just having fun and Twilight needs to lighten up. Then you go to Wonderbolt Academy, where the sole purpose of Lightning Dust's existence is to be like what the show thinks that the fans think is a Flandernized version of Rainbow Dash. And it's like with Twilight, they gave her the wings, they gave her all the responsibilities. They're at least trying and willing to develop that character and push that character forward. I mean, Pinkie Pie goes off the rails every now and again, but for the most part, the main six have consistently developed and remained developed for the most part. I understand there will always be inconsistencies in any show, not just a cartoon. But with Rainbow Dash, it's like for some reason, except for a few episodes, they just don't want her to be anything other than, oh hey, here's the cocky athlete, but she has a heart of gold. It just takes a little blah blah blah.
It reminds you of a lot of characters from animation that they're trying to say it's one way, but it doesn't work out in the actual show.
Exactly, and you've seen characters like
it's
that.
all hearsay. Yes, I have.
Yeah, and
It's
you've
all
seen characters
hearsay
like
and
that.
no actual. It's the classic show don't tell. It's just telling but not really showing.
Okay, let me give you an example. Everyone likes Dexter's Lab, right? But here's the thing: Dexter from Dexter's Lab, he's actually not really a nice kid. If anything, he's a megalomaniac, and he's a jerk to his sister. And while his sister is dumb, she's not like malicious about it for the most part. I think there's one episode where she gets mad at him, but whatever. The point is that
she's just having fun.
yeah, and the show does paint it as like she should know better, but it also shows that really Dexter should know better if he just like straight up talked to her instead of yelling at her. But the show doesn't try to make Dexter a better person. Sure, he learns a lesson here and there, but it's not like a big one that needs to be carried over into other episodes. And when it doesn't affect the character or the show. And I know that show's a lot more episodic than Friendship is Magic, but that's the thing. Friendship is Magic is always so harped on for and critically applauded for, its writing and its characters and its depth and its characterization. But for their and character development, I mean. But for Rainbow Dash, there's never been any development. Oh no, I'm sorry. She learned to like books 5 seasons ago.
You know what though?
So I have problems with this episode on principles.
What I will say is in other animated shows though, you have the same thing with main characters as well. Look at Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Blue is a fucking asshole, and yet it's celebrated as he's a good character.
Oh yeah, and,
by
and I'm not, and I did feel it a little kind of like I did find it a little hard to believe how they would try to paint him as such a victim for Mr. Harriman. But in reality, I mean, Mr. Harriman, yeah, he was a little bit of a dictator in there. And, Mrs. Foster himself, of course, were like, hey, and Frankie were like, lighten up. But at the same time, he's a boss and he has to run the place, That I think that's why I think that's why I like some of the newer shows like Regular Show. Like they have a jerk boss like that Benson, but and he's a jerk boss, but but he's layered, there's good things about him and there's bad things about him. The good things get brought to the light, but when the bad things need to get brought forward, they're brought forward. And I almost feel bad for harpooning the show on the Rainbow Dash Twilight thing so much, especially because, and I don't want to say it's just for kids, and it is it is a pony show, but I've seen the show write really well, and I've seen them develop their characters really well. So I don't really think I'm too much in the wrong for wanting it to be consistent, not consistently good. I'm not saying I want or expect every episode to be a 10, but I would just think that after 6 seasons, you would think that the show writers would know, how to push Rainbow Dash forward instead of reverting her back to season 1 for a few episodes every season.